From the pioneers that shaped gaming's future to the ones that literally crashed the industry, we're digging into how consoles began and ended. Grab a drink, sit back, and let's hit play. Long before Mario jumped and Sonic ran, the Magnavox Odyssey launched in 1972 as the world's first home console. No graphics? No problem, it came with plastic overlays for your TV. Its launch game, table tennis, was basically Pong before Pong existed. 2 paddles, a dot, and a whole lot of imagination. A year later, Interplanetary Voyage sent players on a cosmic journey with more dots and lines, sparking everything that followed. The Odyssey was just the start, but most of you haven't even heard of it. Hit that like button, the competition's heating up. In 1976, Coleco Telstar joined the race as a Pong clone, riding the arcade boom. With analog controls and simple graphics, it sold over 1 million units and spawned 14 models, each tweaking the formula. Target wrapped it up in 1978, a light gun twist after years of Pong variants like hockey and handball. Across the Pacific in 1977, Nintendo's journey began with the Color TV game, a bright orange console that sold over 3 million units in Japan. It started with the Color TV Game 6, a 6-Pong collection, and wrapped up in 1980 with Computer Othello. The Fairchild Channel F rolled out in 1976, launching the second generation of consoles, being the first with a microprocessor and interchangeable cartridges. Hockey and tennis were built into the system as simple launch titles. Paddles moved a square across the screen, offering basic gameplay with no extras. The last game, Alien Invasion in 1981, threw pixelated invaders at you. The console faded quietly, selling just 250,000 units, a bold spark of fresh ideas that couldn't match Atari's relentless rise. Atari 2600 with its iconic wood-grain design sold 30 million units and revolutionized gaming by making interchangeable cartridges the new norm, a leap that brought vibrant 2D sprites into living rooms. Combat kicked things off with a frantic mix of tanks and planes, simple yet endlessly addictive. By 1990, Clax wrapped up the era with colourful puzzle blocks in a stylish finale, solidifying Atari's legacy in the gaming revolution. Never played it? No worries! Hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. The Magnavox Odyssey 2 rolled out in 1978, a 2 million unit comeback after the original Odyssey's stumble. Now, with cartridges and a keyboard, it aimed to outsmart Atari by blending gaming with education. Speedway launched it in 78, bringing high-speed racing action. Power Lords ended it in 83, a sci-fi send-off for a system that fought hard but couldn't shake Atari's grip. The Intellivision stormed in during 1979, flexing sharper 2D visuals and complex controls, a gutsy rival to Atari's 2600. Las Vegas Poker and Blackjack dealt the opening hand in 79, a deep card-shuffling launch title. Spiker, Super Pro Volleyball, served as the final game in 1989, closing out the console's run. One of gaming's first handhelds, Game & Watch, launched in 1980, selling over 43 million, starting with Ball, a juggling game. Similarly, Mario the Juggler wrapped it up in 91, Mario's last toss for Nintendo's LCD console. The Vectrex dropped in 1982, a standalone marvel with glowing vector graphics and its own screen, a true niche gem. Mindstorm blasted off in 82, a pack-in asteroid shooter with razor-sharp lines. Web Wars emerged in 83, marking the Vectrex's final stand, as the video game crash brought the console's run to an end. ColecoVision launched in 1982, delivering near-arcade 2D graphics that outclassed Atari's rough edges. Donkey Kong debuted with it, securing the first console port ahead of the pack. Amazing Bumpman closed in '86, a quirky puzzler felled by the crash. It dragged Coleco down, with more to fall. The Atari 5200 arrived in 1982, upping the graphical ante with smoother 2D visuals. It flopped, selling just 1 million units, thanks to clunky controllers and the gaming market crash. Super Breakout launched it, a polished paddle and ball classic that felt familiar. Gremlins, released in 1986, brought chaotic fun to the 5200, but it was too late to save the struggling console. The Famicom burst into Japan in 1983, a red and white 8-bit beast selling 19 million units. Untouched by the US crash, it fueled Nintendo's global ascent and marked the start of the third generation of consoles. Donkey Kong rolled out in '83, bringing Mario's arcade roots home after ColecoVision's debut. Adventure Island 4 ended it in '94, a late quest for an unshaken trailblazer. The Sega SG-1000 launched July 15, 1983, same day as Famicom, selling 2 million as Sega's first console, a brief 8-bit spark with a short lifespan. Congo Bongo kicked off in '83, an isometric arcade chase through jungles. The Black Onyx closed it in '87, as its run faded next to Giants. Following the Famicom's success, the Nintendo Entertainment System launched in North America in 1985, bringing sharp 8-bit graphics that revolutionized home gaming, a true savior after the 1983 video game crash. It sold 62 million units, solidifying its legendary status. Super Mario Bros. Ignited the NES in '85, forging a legacy with seamless scrolling and iconic sound. The last game, Wario's Woods in 1994, a quirky puzzle where Wario dropped bombs on Mario's legacy, a chaotic end to a 9-year reign. The NES truly saved the industry in the '80s. If you're old enough, drop your favourite NES game in the comments below. Now, back to the evolution. Sega's Master System launched in 1985, boasting sharper 8-bit visuals than the NES. It sold 13 million units, shining in Europe and Brazil. Bundled with some units, brought arcade-quality motorcycle thrills straight to homes. Mickey's Ultimate Challenge in 1998 wrapped it up, that marked the end of an era for the Sega Master System. The Atari 7800 launched in 1986 with better 2D graphics, but it couldn't compete with Nintendo's rising dominance. Pole Position 2 sped onto the scene with vibrant tracks and fast-paced racing. Alien Brigade in 1990, a light gun blaster that faded quietly as the last game. TurboGrafx 16, also called PC Engine, debuted in 1987, a sleek marvel selling 10 million. The first console with CD power, starting the fourth generation of consoles. Ikoriman World launched it in '87, a bold anime-driven start. Dead of the Brain 1 and 2 ended it all in '99, offering a creepy horror atmosphere but lacking innovation. The Game Boy launched in 1989 with 8-bit grit, selling 118 million and redefining gaming on the go. Tetris dropped in '89, a Soviet block stacker that gripped the world. Pokemon Yellow closed it in '99, Pikachu's farewell to a portable titan that outlasted flashy arrivals in the '90s. The Atari Lynx debuted in 1989, a colour handheld powerhouse overshadowed by the Game Boy. California Games, a sports title showing off its capabilities. Raiden closed it in '97, a final arcade blast for a handheld that couldn't outrun its battery-hungry fate. The Sega Genesis, also called Mega Drive, hit in 1989, unleashing 16-bit power, a fierce rival to Nintendo's throne. Altered Beast launched in '89, a gritty brawler rising from the grave. Frogger hopped last in '98, a simple road crosser ending a decade of Sega's fight. The Neo Geo launched in 1990, a pricey arcade titan with 24-bit muscle, selling 1 million for hardcore fans. NAM 1975 launched as a war-themed shooter, featuring gritty, pixelated arcade action. Samurai Showdown 5 Special slashed last in 2004, a fierce fighter game closing a Cult Legends run. The Super Nintendo Entertainment System launched in 1990 with lush 16-bit graphics, a generational leap over the NES. It sold 49 million units. Super Mario World introduced Yoshi, a dino pal in a vibrant, sprawling world. By 1999, Fire Emblem, a tactical RPG that marked the final chapter for the system. The Philips CDI arrived in 1991, a multimedia oddity with CD power, selling 1 million amid quirky misfires. Connect 4 launched it, offering a simple yet addictive disc-driven challenge that set the tone for the console. Solar Crusade wrapped it up in 1999, a clunky CD finale for a system lost between gaming and education. Sega's Game Gear debuted in 1990 with backlit, colourful 8-bit graphics, a leap over Game Boy's monochrome. Columns kicked things off, offering a fast-paced puzzle challenge. Finally, The Lost World Jurassic Park closed an era, wrapping up with a fitting action-packed adventure. The 3DO, the first 5th-gen console, launched in 1993 with 32-bit power, selling 2 million units but fading due to its high price. It launched with Crash and Burn, a chaotic racer with 3DO's post-apocalyptic 3D visuals. The last title was Creature Shock in 1996, a full-motion video sci-fi thriller with interactive elements and a unique cinematic style. The Atari Jaguar launched in 1993, touting 64-bit power, selling just 250,000 in a fierce console war. Cybermorph soared in, a 3D space shooter, flexing ambitious tech. Fight for Life stumbled last in 96, Atari's final brawler, a fitting name for a struggling beast's official end. Sony's PlayStation burst onto the scene in 1994 with 3D polygons that smoked the competition. It sold 102 million units. Gaming was now mainstream. Ridge Racer roared at launch, a 3D racer that made arcades jealous. In 2005, it ended with Schnappi 3 Fun Games, a German kids game with a singing crocodile. Not the grand finale fans expected.
Schnappi.
The Sega Saturn debuted in 1994, a dual CPU powerhouse, strong in 2D, selling 9 million units despite PlayStation's 3D dominance. Virtua Fighter punched in, a crisp 3D brawler showcasing arcade roots. UQ closed it in 2000, a strategic RPG ending Saturn's Japan-strong run. Nintendo's Virtual Boy arrived in 1995, aiming to revolutionize gaming with 3D visuals. But its red and black display and awkward design failed to catch on. Mario Tennis launched with the system, showcasing its 3D depth in a fast-paced sports title. By 1996, Virtual Boy was cancelled with 3D Tetris, a unique spin on the classic puzzle game. The Nintendo 64 arrived in 1996 with full 3D worlds, a success despite cartridge limits. Super Mario 64 rewrote gaming with fluid 3D platforming. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 grinded last in 2002, a slick farewell to N64's run. Tiger Electronics dropped the Gamecom in 1997, the first touchscreen console. First game was Lights Out, a puzzle game. Duke Nukem 3D ended it in '99, crushed by Game Boy. Unsurprisingly, the Game Boy Color struck gold in 1998, bringing a splash of color to the Game Boy. With 82 million units sold, it became a handheld favorite. Tetris DX dropped first, proving once again that you can't launch a Game Boy without Tetris. In 2003, Doraemon wrapped things up, an educational send-off starring a cartoon cat. The Neo Geo Pocket debuted in 1998, then got a color update in 1999 to compete with the Game Boy Color. King of Fighters R1 led the charge, a fierce fighter right from the start. In 2001, SNK vs Capcom wrapped things up, an epic crossover finale for the handheld. Sega's Dreamcast, the first 6th Gen console, launched in 1999 with 3D visuals and online play, a flop that ended Sega's console ambitions. Virtua Fighter 3TB was a stunning 3D fighter at launch. The last game, Carouse, in 2007, a simple shoot-'em-up, but still a very unique way to close out the Dreamcast. The PS2 launched in 2000 with DVD playback and enhanced 3D graphics, selling a record-breaking 155 million units, dominating the industry for years to come. Eternal Ring cast players into a dark fantasy world, setting the tone for a new era of gaming. PES 2014 kicked the last goal, ending a 13-year reign as the final PS2 game. Even after a quarter century, it's still a fan favourite. With nearly 4,000 games, what's your top pick? Let us know in the comments. More nostalgia coming up. The Game Boy Advance brought SNES-level 2D graphics to your pocket in 2001, selling 81 million units, a portable king. F-Zero maximum velocity revved up with fast-paced racing and tight controls. Samurai Deeper Kaio made its cut in 2008, the samurai game delivering the final strike. GameCube debuted in 2001 with compact discs and crisp 3D visuals. It sold 21 million units. Luigi's Mansion gave Luigi a spooky spotlight, almost a horror game early on. Madden NFL 08 finished it in 2007, wrapping up the purple cube. Microsoft's first attempt, the Xbox, launched in 2001 with powerful 3D graphics and a built-in hard drive, making a notable impact in a tough market. Halo Combat Evolved made Master Chief a legend. Madden NFL 09 ended it in 2008, a football game closing Xbox's first go. The DS flipped the script in 2004 with dual screens and touch controls, selling 154 million units. Super Mario 64 DS added fresh twists to a 3D classic. Big Hero 6 Battle in the Bay ended it in 2014, a movie game closing DS's run. Sony's PSP raced out in 2004 with near PS2 3D graphics in your hand. It sold 82 million units, a handheld beast. Ridge Racer rolled in, a fast racer like PS1's first game. Retro City Rampage DX finished it in 2016, an old-school game ending PSP's time. The Xbox 360, first in the 7th gen, launched in 2005 with HD graphics and Xbox Live selling 84 million units, plus a few red rings. Cameo elements of power kicked it off, a magic adventure game. Just Dance 2019 ended it in 2018, getting players moving as the final dance for the Xbox 360. After Xbox 360's HD push in 2005, PlayStation 3 hit in 2006 with Blu-ray and Power, selling 87 million despite a rocky start. Resistance blasted aliens with gritty chaos. Shakedown Hawaii ended it in 2020, a retro game where Pixel Crooks said aloha to PS3. The Wii launched in 2006 with quirky features, selling 101 million units and becoming a family favorite. Wii Sports turned grandmas into bowlers. Thanks to its motion controls, it made fitness fun. Just Dance 2020 was the final game for the Wii. It stayed alive thanks to casual players loving it. After DS's dual-screen win in 2004, the 3DS came out in 2011, with 3D visuals selling 75 million strong. Nintendogs plus Cats launched first, a virtual pet game with 3D charm. Silver Falls, Ruby River crept out last in 2023, a spooky end to 3DS's run. The Vita flexed in 2011 with stunning OLED 3D graphics, amazing for the time, but sold just 16 million units, a flop against phones. Uncharted Golden Abyss jumped in first, an adventure with Nathan Drake. Russian Subway Dogs was just added before Sony dropped support, marking a quirky indie end for the Vita. After Wii's motion craze in 2006, the Wii U launched in 2012 as the first 8th-gen console with a 480p tablet screen, a bold shift that flopped, selling just 13 million units. Nintendo Land kicked off in 2012, a party game full of fun demos. Silver Falls, white inside its Umbra, was the final eShop release in 2023, marking the end before the Switch took over. While Wii U flopped, PS4 roared in 2013 with strong graphics and refined online play, selling 117 million. Killzone Shadowfall kicked off in 2013, a shooter with big battles. The PS4 keeps rocking. Could its last game be a football title like PS2 got? Tell us your thoughts in the comments. Xbox One hit that year with a TV twist, selling 58 million. Its DRM online-only plan flopped but got reversed fast. Forza Motorsport 5 raced in at launch in 2013, a car game with slick tracks. Xbox One still rolling, tossing out new games with no stop yet. After the Wii U stumbled, the Switch arrived in 2017, finally delivering the hybrid experience it promised, selling 151 million and counting. Zelda Breath of the Wild kicked off in 2017, an adventure that stunned. Switch keeps shining as the most versatile console ever made, with no end in sight. Google made a bold move into gaming with the launch of Stadia in 2019, aiming to dominate with cloud streaming, no box required. Destiny 2 launched Stadia, bringing a hardcore shooter to the cloud. Worm Game closed the chapter in 2023, a simple Easter egg farewell showing once again that hardware still rules. The Xbox Series X and S kicked off the 9th generation in 2020, with 4K graphics and fast load times, selling 30 million units despite fierce competition. Gears Tactics charged in at launch in 2020, a strategy game with tough fights. Xbox keeps pushing, blending console strength with Game Pass magic. Launching just a few days after the Xbox Series X and S, PS5 charmed us in 2020 with ray-traced 4K visuals and DualSense wizardry, selling over 75 million units and counting. Astro's Playroom kicked off the PS5 era with a platformer, showcasing the console's power and the innovative features of the DualSense controller. The PS5 is still going strong with no signs of slowing down. Get ready for the Switch 2, a bold leap in Nintendo's legacy, delivering upgraded performance while keeping the hybrid magic we all love. Released in 2025 with Mario Kart World, the ultimate party game that sets the bar for the next generation. The journey doesn't end here. Check out more game evolutions. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell us your favorite console in the comments below.